Welcome to another edition of Garden Angels of Justice and Peace. These are the shows that you're going to be tuning in. I want to thank everybody for tuning in the show last week. You got a lot of information and continue to watch these shows, and here's why. Because in the future, we're going to say things, and you're going to be getting a chance to win gift certificates, even a trip. The Garden Angels of Justice and Peace, Pearl from Philadelphia, and
Josie Brandon from sunny Arizona.
And Josie will be here in a few weeks live, sitting right beside me, and I can't wait. And all of you will see us side by side as you normally want us to see us side by side. Josie, the thought for today, of all the people that are tuning in and made their comments about this show and how they love this show, what's your reaction to it?
Oh my goodness, it's been such a blessing, and just to get the feedback from our viewers and the wonderful emails has been fantastic. It's just, we're on path, Soul Sister. We're on path.
We're going to be more unpacked tonight. Now I'm going to ask you, what is our topic tonight?
All right, Soul Sister. Well, you know that we've been talking a lot about things going on, and tonight's show is about getting your power back and restoring your credit score. What to do, how to do it, and we're going to get down, of course, to the nitty-gritty, so that people can get their power back and know exactly what to do about their credit.
Josie, since when did you do credit?
You know what? I don't do credit, but I have certainly talked to you about it. And you know, as we get real with our viewers, you know that every time I talk to you, you amaze me completely with all the information that you've done. I mean, you've been doing it for how long? 25 some years of credit. And you're known as the expert. And when you started sharing with me all the things you've been doing, I was so wow. And I'm like, Pearl, we got to do a show. This is so empowering. People need to know what they can do about getting their life back.
Well, there you go. Now it's your ball game right now.
Okay, well, you know, the first thing I want to do is let's have a real conversation. Are people embarrassed to talk about their credit? Have you found that to be the case through the years?
Through the years, I would say a man is more so embarrassed than a woman about the credit. And the reason for that is if you're around your friends or your relatives and they're all talking about their new homes and their refinances and they're sitting back with credit problems, you're going to find them in the corner. And they're in the corner with their mouth closed because they're too embarrassed because they know they have a credit problem now. And that's I remember doing a seminar one time. And everybody there, I said, raise your hand if you have a credit problem. And no one raised their hand. And when I stepped out into the hallway, everybody came up to me and said, can I have your card? Can I have your card? Everybody was too embarrassed. And that was years ago. Now, 1 out of 2 people has credit problems. So no one should be intimidated when it comes to their credit. They really should not. And no matter what situation they're in, they should not have a problem with even people knowing they have a credit problem because 1 out of 2 people has credit. No one is exempt today. No one.
Yes, yes. And you know, when we first talked about that, what did I say it was when people talk about their credit? You and I had a personal conversation. What was the analogy? It was like sharing their what?
I don't want to hear it. Okay. All right. We're getting raw and dirty here right now, but that's okay because that's you know, you're making me blush even. But yes, it's like covering their underwear when and you know, and I've never heard that expression before. When somebody has a credit problem, boy, you are making me blush. You really are. But I mean, I'm so reserved, you know. But you know what? Who cares? You know what? When you're right, there's an expression out there. If you have a credit problem, it's like, you know, you're down to your underwear, and people hear this, but they didn't know what it meant, and now I know what it means. But the thing is, a lot of people felt this way. They felt inferior to the point where they were too embarrassed. And if you're embarrassed, what are you embarrassed about? You know, because 1 out of 2 people has credit problems. So how does that go on to what they're wearing? I have no idea. But the thing is, you know, it affects them. It does affect them, though.
Yes. So you're like the laundry expert. You get rid of the stains.
I love it. I love it. I love it because you're the only one that compares it. You know, I laughed at that. You're the only one that compares the credit bureaus with your laundry. And you put humor into it. And maybe this is what people should be doing because I laughed over it, and I'm a credit guru and credit expert, but you put humor where I was even laughing, where you put the credit bureaus, and I'm sure everybody's going to be laughing at this, but what you did is you related to the credit bureaus as if it was your laundry. And you said, clean up my laundry. And I'm saying, okay, I'm going to clean up your laundry then. So, maybe we started a trend. Who knows? Or you started the trend.
Well, you know what I wanted to do is really just keep it real because when you and I first had this conversation and we were going over credit history and things of that nature, it is really like finding out about someone's personal life and using undergarments like underwear and things of that as just an analogy of how personal it is. I mean, you're actually give them a chance to take a sneak peek of some of the private things of your life.
Right.
But that there's some core things that happen in people's lives. What are some transitional periods that you've discovered through your career where you see credits having an impact?
When you say having an impact, would you mean a better impact or worse? What do you mean? Like where they started?
Let's start with worse, and then we can talk about making the progress forward with some corrections. So,
Well,
where do you see?
when somebody has bad credit, I think, you would know, the person would know out there, you're afraid to do anything. You can't do anything. It's not you're afraid to do anything. You cannot do it, especially in this economy. You're stuck. I say you're stuck. So the only thing that you could do is make it better. You can't get any worse because if you have a credit problem, I hate these people when they say, I have partial credit problem, or I have pretty good credit or pretty bad credit. There's no such thing as pretty good credit or pretty bad credit because I'll stop a person in their tracks. There's no such thing. You either have good credit or bad credit. A creditor is going to take you for good credit. If you have one little thing, as you say, dirty laundry, but that's going to stop you. That's going to stop you from something else. So the average person is under the impression if you have good credit or bad credit, there's so much to learn when it comes to a person's credit, and that's going to hold them back for a lifetime, and they think it's a lifetime. And that's the bad news and good news with people.
What are you seeing with regards to people in colleges? I mean, they're acquiring loans. Are you seeing a trend there, and where do you think that's going in terms of the credit?
I'm shaking my head. You have an old saying that God's shaking his eyes. Well, I'm shaking my head because it's pretty sad. Colleges, what's going on with colleges is the credit card companies they're sending representatives into the colleges, and they're saying to the colleges, find me 4 applications and you will get so-and-so. They'll get like $100 each student. So here's the student coming up with 5 names, filling out 5 applications, getting paid for it, and all these students are getting credit cards in the colleges. Now, when you receive a credit card in the college, what happens? What is a student going to do? Well, he's going to go to the mall. He's going to buy things with it. And then after he buys things with it, because he's not making money to pay it, he doesn't pay it. But he don't care about that because he's too busy learning in college. Now, he goes out of college, and this is where the problems begin, because now he finds somebody, he wants to get married, she wants to get married, and they want to go for a house, and they can't because somebody says to them, hey, when you were 20-some years old, this came up on your credit, and this is going to stay there. This is going to stay there, or it's going to stop you from applying anything with credit. So I think I definitely believe that credit should be in the schools. I've always said it. It's a lot of work putting it into the schools. I think it can be done. But I think maybe this show with the Guardian Angels of Justice and Peace, I'm hoping that the word will spread that this will be their school right here.
Yes, and then going back to that, so that would be a transition in someone's life, going to college and accumulating credit and making some decisions, obviously, that were not in their best interest. What about other things that would happen in people's lives, like a divorce? Are there any other patterns that you're seeing as far as things that happen to people or how they're accumulating credit and it's affecting them?
I've always said, and when you said divorce, I've always said a person, when 2 people get married, they want to share everything and they want everything to be combined. And I used to say, no, don't. Just have the mortgage in both your names. But to have credit, separate you. And because of 2 reasons, you separate yourselves. Because of divorce and because of death. And the reason why I say that is because if you got a divorce, you're taking your mate's credit with you, good or bad. And in a bad divorce, you're going to take his bad credit, or he's going to take your good credit with you. And I have never seen in all my years, I have never seen 2 couples when they did get a divorce. I have never seen it. And not saying never can never happen, but I've never seen it yet, where two people, will actually have good credit and keep their good credit, so the spouse keeps their good credit, so they both don't get hurt. It doesn't work this way in a divorce, because this is why they say, a bad divorce, your credit will follow you. Pretty sad, but it doesn't have to be as sad for the husband and wife.
Okay, so now let's get down to peeling that back even more as far as credit and credit scores. I know there's three credit bureaus. So those three are, what was it, TransUnion? What was the other two?
Experian and Equifax. Now, you got to remember, there was 6. The average consumer was in the dark years ago. I was in the twilight zone. I knew all of them. There were 6 major credit bureaus years ago. The people was in the dark because all they thought of was buying and applying for credit cards and keep on applying and getting it. But there's 3 major credit bureaus out there now. I am also trying to do away with one more, which is Equifax, because Equifax is also, it's a bill collector and a credit bureau together, which is a conflict of interest. Now, a lot of people don't know this either. They don't care to know it, because all a person wants to know is clean up my credit, or I don't really care about this, or fix it. It's like you're going to a doctor and you got a cold, and you say to the doctor, I don't care what I got. I got the flu, I got the cold, I got the virus. Fix it. And so you're going there for the pills. Well, that's what I am, a credit doctor, and they don't want to hear what's really wrong with them. They just wanted to say, fix it. And that's pretty bad in this generation, because this is why we're in the world we are today. No one understood it. They didn't care to understand it. I think it's about time not only they get their credit done, but they understand it.
Now, you know how every industry has like a governing thing, like insurance companies have the insurance commissioner to govern, to make sure things are done properly, and the doctors have a licensing board. What do the credit bureaus, who governs that industry, and who's, can anybody start a bureau? I mean, who's actually governing that industry?
I'm smiling right now because I want to say pro Polto. But I won't.
Go for it, soul sister.
I won't. Now, I won't, because when you said who's governed the credit bureaus, I am. I have been. And the reason why I have been, but it's the Federal Trade Commission, to be exact. The Federal Trade Commission watches over the credit bureaus. The Federal Trade Commission, it's what it's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, that act hasn't been changed in years. From 1971, it has not been changed. But their job is to watch over what the credit bureaus are doing, right or wrong, when they make so many mistakes. And the reason why they make so many mistakes, that's another show or deeper into this, is because they don't have the manpower. That's one. Now, when I say 3 credit bureaus, but the credit bureaus try to confuse you too. They're going to try to confuse you because they don't want people to dispute. So if you don't want somebody to dispute, what do? You confuse people. And if they confuse you enough, it's going to work. No one's going to apply. No one's going to dispute. Now, can anybody get a credit bureau? Of course there was. In one of my books, there was a Lee Score. Lee Score was a friend of mine. She opened up a credit bureau, which you can do. I mean, you have to have all the clientele. You have to have the knowledge. You have to have a lot of things. But it was a Lee Score, it was called. Those of you that got one of my books, Pearl Polto's Easy Guide to Good Credit, what was in there was she wanted to have a credit bureau of a landlord's tenant. So all the landlords would come into it, and all the tenants would come into it. So if you wanted to have a tenant come into your apartment to hire, they would pull up this Lee Score credit bureau, and then it would show them if this is the person to put in your apartment. But right now we're down to 3 major credit bureaus, and it should be down to 2. I hope it's down to 1, soon, because everybody's getting so confused with these credit bureaus and who are they, what they are, what do they do. It's pretty sad. It's lack of education.
So, just talking about that, so it's kind of like when you doing the comparison with an insurance industry, how the insurance companies look at people as a loss, or, when they're looking at your health status. There's a national data bank that they go and they can check on your health. That's really what the credit bureaus are. It's like determining whether or not you're credit worthy for future things with different companies. Is that really how it is?
Well, with the insurance company, as an ex-insurance agent, let me tell you what happens there. An insurance company will pull up your report. Now, a lot of people, when insurance companies pull up your report, so you understand it.
Which report?
Okay, that's why I'm going to explain, because it's really interesting when you said which report. When you are a subscriber, let's say as an insurance company, let's give any company's name. When you're a subscriber, insurance companies are not subscribers to, or they can't afford it, subscribers to all three credit bureaus. So they become a subscriber to one because it's expensive. So that one, let's say, okay, let's give an example. The insurance companies become a subscriber to TransUnion, an example, and they're not with Experian or Equifax, and you stop paying on your car, and because you stopped paying on your car, that came up with Experian, not with TransUnion. So that's to the client's advantage, because now when the insurance company pulls up, which they are a subscriber to, which is TransUnion, because that's all they can afford, it's all they want to afford, they're pulling up TransUnion, which didn't even show up. So you're going to get approved because they didn't pull up the other two. Is it to their advantage? No. They should become a subscriber to all three, but many companies don't. Insurance companies, it's not just insurance companies. The pretty sadness, you can't do nothing today, nothing, because of this economy. It's not just insurance, it's everything. It's healthcare, it's apartments, it's landlord tenants, it's everything. A person wants to know your character. They want to know what you're all about. And how do they know what you're all about? The home industry, the senior citizens, especially that you're putting in people to take care of your mother and father or your grandparents. What's happening is those companies pull up a criminal report, but they will not pull up a credit report. So stupid, because the credit report is going to show more than the criminal one about their character, who you should hire for your parents. So much knowledge.
Now, going back to that, when you talk about the three credit bureaus, why is it that some people will have it on some bureaus, one of the three, versus why isn't it not on all three of them?
It's not on all three because, again, who is a subscriber. If, let's say, my company becomes a subscriber, so you understand, I always say in pure English, I'm associated with the credit bureaus. I'm a subscriber of all three. I don't want just one, which I could. But you become a subscriber to all three, it's expensive. So,
right.
but I want to see what's on your report with all three of you instead of just one. But many are just a subscriber to just one credit bureau, and then it falls with the luck. It falls with the lottery which one they're going to pull up, because if you didn't pay your car on Equifax and they pull up TransUnion, you'll get approved. So you're taking a chance on life. Just become a subscriber to all three, but the person doesn't know this. The person doesn't know which company are a subscriber to one or all three. So you're playing Russian roulette too and taking a chance. And it's wrong to take a chance, because as you're taking the chances, your score's going down.
But the question would be then, how would the consumer know which, and if they have a judgment or a default or anything, how do they know which credit score that it would be posted on? And why is it, as a consumer, why is it not on all three versus one or the other? How does someone know with what collection agency what will be appearing on what credit bureau?
You don't. As a consumer, you don't. And that's the sad part, because here's what a consumer can do. They could contact, let's say you're applying for a store credit card or a MasterCard or Visa. You have the right now, and that's under law, you have the right to call them and say, what bureau are you pulling up? Now, if you know you're cleared, let's say you're cleared with one bureau, TransUnion, an example, and you're cleared with them. Well, you have the right to call that landlord, that insurance company, to say, what bureau are you pulling up? Are you pulling up all three, or just what major credit bureau you're pulling up? And if they say one that you're not sure of, well, then stay away from that company or stay away from that credit card company. If they say TransUnion, we pull up only, or a car dealer, we only pull up TransUnion, then you can go to that car dealer to say, all right, I want that car, put me through, because now you did your homework. Always do your homework and don't just guess at it.
Okay, well, going back to the companies that subscribe, you're talking about, mortgage companies and things of that nature where they would pull a credit report. Is there one known in the industry that would stand out as the leader, or are they all equivalent to each other, the three credit bureaus? I know about cost. You're saying what they subscribe to, what they're willing to pay. but you're paying for what? Quality, or what are you paying for if you're not getting all the information or the most up-to-date information?
Good question. Such a good question. And let me tell you why that's I'm smiling again because it's such a good question. Years ago, an example, Experian. Experian is just in the ballpark in the last few years. But before Experian, they were TRW. Now, everybody knew and heard of TRW. And then everybody heard of a company called CBA. So when you applied, they pulled up CBA. And then CBA got sued by so many people, they said either go out of business or join forces with someone else. So they did. They joined forces with TRW. Now, TRW was the big guys. Now, TRW now got sued many, many times from the consumers. And what happened? And under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, so they had a choice. What do we do? Do we go out of business or do we merge with someone else? So they merged with Experian. But all along, the people are saying, hey, I have to deal with TRW, CBA, Experian, but they're all one and the same. Now, between the three of them, if you apply for credit, which one is the best? None. None is the best because they're all inaccurate. They've been inaccurate for many, many years. It's three credit bureaus with so many faults in it. This is why we have problems in our country when it comes to mortgages, when it comes to car places. Everybody's pulling up wrong reports. The credit bureaus aren't reporting the way they're supposed to report. They put the blame on someone else. So who's the better one? None of them are because they're all making mistakes and we're trying to perfect it. The only way we can perfect it is shows like this for the people to understand, to say, I'm not going to take it no more. Now I want to know there's no best out there. So how could you tell me you're reporting on me the best report when I'm seeing you make mistakes too? And that's the bottom line.
Okay, so for the consumer that's watching and they want to be empowered, obviously you talked about the Fair Credit Act. Talk to us about that. Tell us what that exactly means, like, you know, in bullet form, as far as what that really means for the consumer.
All right, it's good. That's another good question because the Fair Credit Reporting Act was passed by Congress to override and watch over, like a watchdog, to all the credit bureaus. And if there's a mistake there, you could write to Washington under the Fair Credit Reporting Act to the Federal Trade Commission and report what the credit bureaus are doing. The credit bureaus make so many mistakes and they try to override a lot of people and making them think that they're God. They're not God. And sometimes a person will get turned down and declined because of a mistake that credit bureaus make. Do credit bureaus do this on purpose? Well, it's not that they do it on purpose. They're hired hands with minimum pay people that's working for them. And sometimes our economy goes under because of the mistakes that they're making. Washington, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Federal Trade Commission watches over them. So you have a mistake, you have the right to write, not to the Federal Trade Commission, not to the creditor, but you have the right to write to the credit bureau. And why I said not to the credit bureau, not to the bill collector, because you're bypassing one of the laws which you just discussed. It was Section 611. It's a law. It may be boring, but that little Section 611 under the Fair Credit Reporting Act is so important, and here's why. Section 611 states, if you dispute with the credit bureau, and you think and you feel there's a mistake on your report, well, does it have to stay on for 7 years? Under Section 611, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it could be removed in 30 days, not 7 years. Why isn't people knocking on your door? They're not going to knock on your door because 30 days is so much different than 7 years. Why doesn't our government want you to know this? Well, of course, it's all over the place. Half of the attorneys don't know it. A lot of the mortgage companies don't know it. So it's my job. It's here to educate the people to say, hey, now you know it. So do your homework. Do your homework.
So 611 is what really empowers the consumer to take action, to do something about, and get it corrected in 30 days.
A lot of credit bureaus will push it back on two things. They'll push it back on the people, and they'll push it back on the creditors. And they'll say to the people or to the consumer, They'll say, contact your creditor. You don't have to contact your creditor. You can bypass that creditor because you're not disputing with the creditor anymore or even the bill collector. You are disputing with the credit bureau. And their job under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, Section 611, their job is to investigate it, remove it, and let me tell you, there's some powerful laws out there under Section 611. I'm not a miracle worker, but that's my power under that Section 611 when it comes to disputing with a credit bureau that sometimes not even mortgage companies are aware of.
You know, you made me laugh because you said you're not a miracle worker, but I know you've gotten emails, people calling you the savior.
Yeah, but it's not a savior, though. It really is. And I take the compliment from people, and I will. But the thing is, you know, it's not a miracle worker. I mean, there are laws out there. And that's the sad part, because the laws are, if I could, you know, let everybody know worldwide. But even if you tell people worldwide, I in my business, I see people get scared. No matter what you say to them, their mindset is to say, well, I was told this, and I was told that, and I was told this, and everything that they were told, you know, is so wrong because they're getting wrong education by going on the internet, by going on certain things, or everybody's trying to push things out to them. Like, there's credit repair companies out there. There's many things out there that shouldn't be out there. You know, I'm against, and even though I am a credit repair company, I'm against them. And I'm against them because I'm the one who went to Harrisburg. I'm against them because, you know, they weren't doing justice for the people. And they were overcharging thousands and thousands, like try $5,000. And yet they didn't know the laws. So if you don't know the laws, how could you do it? So if the people knew the laws and had the time, you could correct your own credit. It's simple. But I mean, it sounds simple. And all you have to know is like basic things that we're talking about here today.
Yes, but you know, the reality is, as most people, you know, they may know what to do, but they don't necessarily take action because it may be in their mind, you know, they're swimming in a sea of such distraught. You know, they've been conditioned to believe something for so long that they just, you know, they either accept it or they don't have the time. And so that's really where you come in. That's where people call you the savior because you've been doing it for so long and you are the expert. I mean, let's, you know, you always say give credit where credit is due. You know,
Wow.
Pearl, you are the credit expert and you've been doing it for 30 years. You know it like the back of your hand. You've been helping thousands upon thousands of people. And it's those people that really don't have the time or not sure exactly what to do. You've actually created a complete strategy to know exactly how to help people and get their credits restored, you know, credit scores restored in 30 days. And that's something that is, I mean, there's just so many testimonies that we'll have to share some other time in the show. But some of the questions that I have was also with regards to, you know, paying off your credit cards or higher credit lines or low credit lines. You know, what really is the strategy? You hear so many different things. Should you keep your credit lines high or keep them low? And how many credit cards should you have?
You know, I used to say this with the people. If you start with one, credit cards, believe it or not, if you understood a credit card, a lot of people are afraid of them. They're afraid of the word. But if you understood credit card, the sky is the limit. And I've always said this for years, the sky's the limit. And let me tell you why and how the sky is the limit. I believe in credit cards because I call it a Donald Trump trick. And Donald, if you're out there listening, but a credit cards, the sky is the limit. And I myself put it through the experience. And here's how I put it through the experience. Years ago, I wanted in the summer a sports car. I even know I have a sports car now, but years ago, I wanted a sports car. And what I did, and it was a college student selling the sports car. So what I did, and he was selling it for like maybe $10,000. And I wanted it. I wanted that sports car. So what I did, and I didn't want it permanently now. I wanted to prove something. So what I did, I went to the bank, because at that time they didn't give you all this access of the credit. I went to the bank and I got 5 of my cards and I said, I want to take out 3,000 of all these cards. And I did. And then I contacted the college student and I said to them, you know what? If you're going to sell your car and you take it to a person, he's going to have to get a loan from the bank and that's going to take time. And the time that it takes to buy your car, I could have bought it already. I will buy it on the spot. And I have the cash on the spot if I like the car. And I said, all I want to do is see the car. Well, I seen the car. I liked it. 3 credit cards that I went to the bank that took out the cash advance. Now, it sounds scary, but let me tell you the end results. So I bought the car, and it was summer. I drove the whole car down the shore and back, had my fun with it. And then I thought, okay, I'm done with the car. Now what do? Now I put it back into the paper for double the amount. And I put back in the paper for double the amount, and I got it because the car was valued at that. It was just that it was a college student that wanted that money right then and there. So what I did is I paid the credit cards off, and it was at least $5,000 to $6,000 extra. And I thought, wow, if I can do this, can you imagine what I can do with a house? Can you imagine if I got 10 credit cards, 20 credit cards, and actually used them as an investment? Now, I'm against regular store department cards. Why I'm against them? Because when they come in, you have to pay them, naturally. But the credit cards, I call them the money cards because there are money cards. And if you use it, the average person gets credit cards and they just go out splurging everything else, and then they have a bill every month, and then they're splurging because they're not using it right. And then they become overextended, and then that's it. It's done. But if you use it as an investment card and you're sitting back and you got 7 cards, well, you're buying everything, you're reselling it, but it's an investment that you're making. And then let's say you're out of work, or let's say you're sick and you can't afford to pay your bills. Well, guess what? You have all this here. You have all this money to work for you, which is the bank working for you. A lot of people don't know this because they're too afraid. Everybody wants to be debt-free and pay off all their cards, and then when they die, wow, I'm debt-free. I don't owe nothing. Big deal. You're not going to,
Can I just say something?
No, because I'm really into this. Go ahead.
First and foremost, the strategy you just talked about is only something that you would know as a, credit guru. Okay, most people, since you talked about the average population that is in crisis, will think of anything they buy as an investment. They'll say, "Oh, that's a beautiful dress. That would look good on me for that date or that interview. I'm going to invest in myself." And it can go on and on. Oh, that new piece of technology, I need that. I want that. I'm going to invest in that. So we want to make sure it's clear that you're talking about a specific type of strategy. It's not necessarily, people will reason to themselves what an investment is, and you're talking about a specific. That's a whole show in itself.
No. What you're talking about is you are the average consumer. The average investment is not a dress. The average investment is not a CD. The average investment is not because you went to a department store and you like the pocketbook. That's the average consumer. What you're saying is so true. You are the average consumer, and you're talking for the average consumer. That's not an investment. I mean
investment.
That's
what I'm saying. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. You just went and talked about credit card strategies, and we want to make sure before we talk about credit card strategies, we understand how credit affects their lives, because the most people are still trying to understand their credit, and how to fix their credit, and they haven't evolved yet to that level of strategic power with using their credit. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And you just said the key word, because all they want when they have that credit card is to spend, spend, spend. They don't understand step 2, step 3 is the credit problems.
Do I see another seminar happening? We can have a seminar just on that alone.
Well, I'm not. We're going to stop here because we're going to. I think we should address what we do and the seminars that we can come into their town. I think you should address that, Josie.
Well, the Guardian Angels of Justice and Peace, our entire organization is all about restoring hope and direction in people's lives. And what's happened is we've been conditioned to believe that when things happen in our life and when bad things happen, that it's hard to recover. And in reality, our recovery is in direct relation to the people we have around who can actually give us information and can support us with making changes. And so that's really what we're bringing to America. We're bringing these seminars around the country and letting them know that they can attend a seminar and find out how they can get their credit score immediately raised. They don't need to do it themselves. We talk about how the company does it and what's going to be a part of that evolution of recovery.
How far
So,
do we go? How far can we go? And how far will we go?
well, we are powered by God, soul sister. So it is limitless. I mean, as far as how far we'll go till every American has a new opportunity of living the American dream again and realizing that things happen and, it's not forever. Sometimes things happen to create an awakening and to create an opportunity to make us better. And that's really what my belief is. And so that's what our message is they have the opportunity to make their lives better.
I would love it. I would love for us to not just educate, but can you imagine if we cleared everybody's consumers' problems out there with credit, got them all back to good credit again, educated the people at the same time how to use their credit cards. Can you imagine the flow of this country and how it's supposed to be? What we can do, the power, if and we're doing it.
Yes, yes, and I think the biggest message is that this is not about negating responsibility, and everything that happens, I think people have an experience, a lesson from, and sometimes things happen in people's lives. Devastating things occur, and there should be an opportunity for them to rebuild their lives and not have to look back and think about it forever. There's opportunities to make those changes, and again, it's all about the direct alignment of who you talk to and the right experts you have on board to help you make that change. And that's why I think we're both so excited, because we know what's out there. We've seen the lives that have been changed and the testimonies and the experiences that we're seeing is just, that's the light that continue us, just gets us motivated and excited about moving forward with this entire vision.
Well, it's clearing credit. It's clearing bad credit. The average person thinks that they have to wait 7 years, so everybody's in it like their own dungeon thinking, well, that's it, they're done. Or people, one time we have to do a show on bankruptcy because a lot of people will file bankruptcy. They don't have to. So all this is education, as you said it. And this is where I'm hoping our seminars will work, and it will work, because the more people that hears about it, they have no choice but to say, hey, you know what? This is happening to me. This is happening to me, and I want to correct it. I want it done. And this is where we come in at, I feel. And then I get really distraught and I get aggravated because, I know I can help the whole world at times, but, it's one day at a time.
And let's actually talk about some of this, because this is really not just for the consumer. There are so many professionals that need to be awakened and to be empowered with knowledge. I mean, we're talking about lawyers. They're advising clients to go to claim bankruptcy when there's options that would allow them not to have that on there. Talk about that. Let's talk about that as far as what you're seeing. There's a trend out there with the bankruptcies, and talk about what you're seeing and why that's so disturbing to you.
It's disturbing to me because when you book our seminars, you will see I stand on the stage and I say, I'm here and the attorney is standing beside me. Now, you're having a problem. You're having a problem with all the bill collectors harassing you, and you don't know what to do, and you were out of work for a while, and you have all this bad credit. What does the attorney advise you? Now, I'm a paralegal, but it has nothing to do with credit laws. Credit laws are found in Congress, not in law school now. Now, the attorney's going to say to you, file bankruptcy. It's not that he's telling you what to do wrong, because that's all he knows. As I said, credit laws are not found in law school. So he's telling you to file bankruptcy. Now, what's the down of that? Everything could be removed from a credit report. Everything. When I say everything, when somebody says, what do you mean everything? Everything that you could think of, judgments, foreclosures, repossessions, everything but the word bankruptcy cannot be removed. So I call it the 10-year curse, is because it's not that the attorney hurt you, but it was his lack of education because he didn't know credit laws. So I call it the 10-year curse because that can affect you when these same creditors, these same negatives on a report could have been removed minimum of 30 days. Now, what would you want? You'd come to he's standing beside me, and he's saying, file bankruptcy and your nightmare's over. It's great, except it just began. And then the other person says, no, I got credit cards, and I filed bankruptcy, I got credit cards. Well, the only reason why you got credit cards is you're only allowed to file bankruptcy every 6 years for one, and it's that flaw against you. Now, you come into my place, you come into my office, and I say, no bankruptcy. We're going to dispute all these negatives, and we're going to remove all of them. And you're not going to pay a penny. You're not going to pay a penny to these creditors or the bill collectors, because they're all charged off, which is something deeper yet. Now, minimum of 30 days, let's say the minimum. Let's say supernatural happen. It's not 60 days or 90 days, or it takes a process, but some are done in 30 days. And in those 30 days, you're done. Now, here you are saying, wow, I could have filed bankruptcy. I would have been done for 10 years, and now I got good credit. Which one do you prefer? Is it a miracle worker? No. When they say, some things are too good to be true, they are, but not this. These are the laws. So you have to just learn the laws.
Yeah, and you make such a great point, because it's really up to an attorney before they do file a bankruptcy to really look at their client and say, do you know what your credit rights are? Have you written letters to the credit bureau? Do you know you have that option to do so? Do you know that there's people out there that can help you get these removed so that you can have a fresh start? That really should be it. It's like a doctor who gives out a prescription without really knowing what the patient's eating habits are. They're not going to the core issues of saying, well, let's see about this first before we start doing this.
Josie, what world are we in? We know attorneys are not going to educate the people to say, well, find out what your rights are, and I don't want to take your money to file bankruptcy. We already know that. Attorneys aren't going to do this.
Why do you think they're not going to do this? Why wouldn't it not be to their advantage to help empower American citizens?
Why? Because they can charge a fee to file bankruptcy. So they have 10 more clients that they're charging with the bankruptcy, which is a couple $1,000s. And some of them wouldn't know. Now, if they did know, they would say, hey, there's companies out there that can do this. Well, what are they going to do? Tell them there's the door, go out, and I don't want your business? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do you feel as a credit expert that it is their obligation to let them know?
If they knew, yes. But
if they knew, and that's the issue, they don't know.
Yes. If they knew, yes, it would be a big issue. I would respect that attorney. And if they did know and told the people, hey, this is what you can do, I would respect that attorney. But it's there's too many attorneys out there that it's too easy to file bankruptcy. It's too easy to tell the client to file bankruptcy, and it's all over. That's where they put it. It's all over.
Now, now there's a difference between that and a credit advocacy attorney. Explain a little bit about what that kind of attorney does. How does he actually protect the consumer?
It's called a consumer protection attorney, which you're talking about, and that's what we have. Carrie Flitter, an example, is a consumer protection attorney, and he's part of our dream team, believe it or not. And what they do is, and it's rare, it's really rare out there because there's not that many attorneys that know credit laws to start off with, but not that many attorneys that want to sue attorneys that are bill collectors. So that's like they're in the twilight zone there, because here's an attorney that says, I'm not going to sue this guy. He's an attorney. He's my brother, as they put it, the brotherhood. And yet we have a consumer protection attorney. That's what they do. That's all they do is sue bill collectors. Now, when I took surveys why attorneys did not want to become consumer protection attorneys, they all said the same thing. Not enough money in it, so we'd rather not even learn about it. But when you have one person that cares about the people, and it could be many out there, I just know one, but when you have an attorney that actually cares about the people and will even sue his own brotherhood to say, hey, I'm going to sue them because they just broke your rights. They broke the laws. They broke your credit laws rights. Then I respect that one attorney. So a consumer protection attorney, that's what it's all about. And speaking about consumer protection attorney, I'm not sure. We're going to go to a commercial. We're going to see if it's, and you're going to see this consumer protection attorney, and then we're going to come back with Josie. We will be right back. Maybe we're not going to come right back. No, we're not going to come right back. Okay, until we get that a little bit fixed with it. But a consumer protection attorney, that's what they do. That's all they do, Josie, is sue bill collectors, and I respect attorneys that go to that extra yard.
And so that's probably another show in itself to discuss that. But how would a consumer know when it's finally to take that route? When do they know it's finally time to hire someone like that?
Well, you know what? The biggest time a consumer knows to hire a consumer protection attorney is when they're getting harassed so bad by bill collectors that they can't stand it. Don't go to the attorney to file bankruptcy. When you get harassed so bad that you don't know what you're doing, and they're breaking, let me say something to you. Even though you owe money to creditors, it doesn't say that they have the right to sue you. It doesn't say that they have the right to harass you. So even though you owe money and you feel so guilty about it, you have a right. You have a right to say, hey, I may owe somebody, but you don't have the right to come after me the way you're coming after me and making me feel so little. So it's up to you. And when you find out your rights, you're going to get this big, because then you turn the tables around and sue that bill collector, who happens to be the attorney, and then make money off of him. And let me add something else. It's free of charge. When you sue a bill collector, a consumer, would you believe it's free of charge? That's also the law. And interesting how people don't know this as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then getting back to you, Pearl, getting back to, the expertise of what people, because most people, even though they might know about 611, that law that's in place for them, they might know that they can write the letters, but it's really, do they have the time? Do they have the expertise for the follow-up and all the things that are involved in that? What exactly happens once somebody calls the organization and is asking for help with you? What exactly is the steps that are going to be made with regards to you reaching out to making these changes? And again, within 30 days, seeing changes in their credit score.
You know what? They call me the miracle worker, and at times I'm not a miracle worker. And I always tell my clients, until I got taught by you, you either going to love me or hate me. But the thing is, once you become my client, I'm very strict, and I'm strict for a reason, because I want to clear your credit. And the minimum is 30 days. I want to see you get that mortgage. I want to see you get that house. So I have to be strict with the rules that I have. And I'm very strict with it. Here's why. When I get that application, yes, I'm going to pull up your report. Yes, I'm going to see what you're all about. Yes, I'm going to get back to you. And yes, I'm going to say, okay, this is what we have to dispute. Now I have rules. I have rules and regulations. And these rules are going to be followed. And if they're not followed, you're going to hate me, because I'm after helping you with your credit. And if you don't want the help, then I'm the wrong person to see. Because if you're getting harassed, if you want the house, if you want the car, I'm the right person to see. And the reason why for that is, then my job is to do two things: to dispute with each of these bureaus. And I'm going to bypass all these creditors. I'm going to bypass even the bill collectors. Why? I want you cleaned in 30 days to get that mortgage and get that car. Now, I become strict is because you're going to get a copy of your credit report. I want to see it. I put it into a circle. You will get a copy of that credit report, and then you're going to mail it to me. I compare it to the very first one. I write back to you all this good news: before, MasterCard, charge off; after, delete it. And you're going to get so happy. You're going to get so happy that you're going to get anxiety to go out and apply for things, which I don't want you to apply for things until I give you the last letter. And that says, congratulations. And when I want to see that congratulation letter too, because when I say congratulations, I've always said my best referrals is the people, which is you. And if you're getting the house, the car, and everything because of me, and I'm just the messenger. But if you're getting all this because of me, well, then wouldn't you want me to be strict? Wouldn't you want me to say, and I am strict, I may have to overcharge you, or just say, oh, I got to take you on as again because you didn't follow the rules. You waited a whole year. I only charge a fee, and it's a small fee. But the fee that I charge is for helping, changing the world. And if I can't change the world and I'm going to be strict, a lot of people love it. They'll say, I like it, you're strict, because you're on top of it. Yes, I'm on top of it because I want to see you get that. I want to see the world change. And if I can't because of a couple people that really don't care about the credit, well, then it's not you that I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people that wants the house, the car, and want to get their credit corrected the right way. And that's what I'm all about.
And you know what? One of the things, too, that was so empowering as far as information is you're talking about even judgments being removed and things of that nature where people don't have to pay on these judgments. There's no reason for them to pay it. They can be removed from your credit score. So the fee that they're paying is so minimal compared to what they would have to pay to clear that off. Once it's been, if they had to pay those judgments, it's minimal compared to the long-term effects of having a low credit score on all the interest rates. I mean, do you want to be paying 3.3% or 21%? I mean, that's really the difference you're talking about in having your credit restored. Would you agree with that?
I'm going to hire you, Josie. I'm going to hire you. I'm sitting here saying this girl knows a lot more than I do now. No, you are so right. You are so right. Let me give a mini education when you say judgments, people don't understand it. And when they say, oh, this is too good to be true, scam, 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 it's not too good to be true. A judgment, if you understood the process, and a judgment is like a creditor that sued, and that judgment goes into a courtroom, and it's called a default judgment. Don't get scared by the word default judgment. Default judgment just means you didn't show up in a courtroom, and they got to take it as a tax write-off. Now, when I come into the picture, just as I would on a charge-off dispute with the credit card companies, when I see a judgment, I'm going to dispute that too, but I'm not going to dispute it with the credit card companies or even the court. Why would I want to dispute with the court when I have my rights under the law to bypass everything and dispute with the credit bureau? Now, why the credit bureau? When I dispute with them, their job is to do exactly what I tell them to do. Investigate this. Investigate it. So they have to investigate this with the courts. The courts are so backed up, they don't respond back either. But the law states, and this is the law under Section 611 again, if the creditor, if the judge, if the court, if anything doesn't respond back to that credit bureau in 30 days, not 7 years, it's the job of the credit bureau, not the creditor, not the court system. It's the job of the credit bureau to delete it. Do they? No, sometimes it's pulling teeth. And sometimes I always say, as much paperwork they put me through, I put them through. But it's the job, it's the law of the credit bureau to do this. Now, does it make me look like a miracle worker? Of course it does. But am I making miracles? No. All I'm doing is using laws that protect you and your rights. And some people don't have the time to do all this disputing, so they do hire me. And they should hire me, because if you owed $50,000 in credit card debt and they're all charged off, why wouldn't you want to hire me for what we charge to say, hey, remove it, Pearl, do your magic?
Soul sister, I'm going to call you a miracle. Okay.
You have the right. You have the right to call me the miracle.
I just thought of a jingle of, being that my background and what it is that I thought of 611 will take you to credit heaven. That's really what.
Oh my God, we have a new song here. Look at this.
Will take you to credit heaven with Pearl Polto. That's for sure.
I don't want to change the subject right now, but since you said that, I'm going to go back to the dolls. You got to tell the people. You have to tell the people of the dolls.
Okay, I will share with the people. When I came to visit Pearl, we had a wonderful week. I call her house the House of Sound. So why does Josie call Pearl's house the House of Sound? Because literally when I was there, she has all these little gadgets. I mean, in the morning I hear the computer say good morning, and she's got this little button. If you push it, it says that was easy, and and she's got this I was in her bedroom picking up some things, and I hear birds, flying or something. I'm like, what's going on? Everything, there's a sound in every room for every reason. I'm like, I'm going to call your house the House of Sound. Now, while I was visiting Pearl, she gave me this doll of an angel.
Garden angel.
An angel, but it was a doll. It was a doll. And I packed it into my suitcase. Now, mind you, I'm flying in from Philly to Phoenix, and there was no noise out of the suitcase at all. Okay, I got my suitcase on the carrier to the plane. I had someone carry my suitcase to my vehicle, whatever, and there was no issues. But when I got home, before I even opened up my suitcase, my brother brings the suitcase in and he says, "Your suitcase is making sounds." It's making sounds. I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Your suitcase is talking." I said, "Oh my God." I'm not kidding you. I was like, "Oh my gosh." Well, of course, there was music and I'm like, okay, something. I open up the suitcase and the angel that Pearl gave me was actually singing a song. It was a Karen Carpenter song. I can't remember the song. I know you know the name of it. I can't remember it. But that's the story. I mean, literally, it totally, completely freaked me out that the angel. So I called her and I said, "Pearl, your House of Sound has followed me home."
Well, you must love it. You're coming back.
I am coming back, and I'm so excited. I get to see you. I get to see Philly again, and I can't wait to do some more exciting shows. We've got so many great things lined up, and we just want to pray and give all the grace to God, because things are moving forward in the direction that we've been praying for.
I think a lot of us, I think both of us, Josie, we're going to be doing so much good for the people in this country, and I think and I think that all this is meant to be, and I always believe it's meant to be, but this is a start. This is going to be a start at the bottom level here, and I think we're going to make a dent. I think we're going to make some dents with Washington. I have a funny feeling that that third credit bureau that I was talking about may be just off the road. I think all this has to happen. I'm so excited over these shows, and we are getting close to the end. Josie, any last words you want to tell the people?
You know what? I think probably the biggest thing is I just want to pray on everyone that's watching our show today and let them know that God loves them, and we want to just be God's love made visible. And we pray that they'll be empowered to take action in their lives, that they can get their credit scores restored. And mostly with that, when they get their credit score restored, they'll also start to restore some self-esteem and some direction. And that's really what we're trying to do here with the Guardian Angels.
We also, in the couple weeks to come, we will be selling certain things, the Guardian Angel bracelets. We're going to be selling a lot of things here that's going to be of interest to you. We also will be selling the theme song of the Guardian Angels of Justice and Peace, sung by Josie herself. And this is the end of the show. This is from Pearl Polto from Philadelphia.
And this is Josie Brandon from Arizona.
This is the theme song of the Guardian Angels of Justice and Peace, sung by Josie. See you next week.
I want to love like that. God bless you.
Look at them dancing as they go across the floor. Twisting and turning and yearning for so much more. And every night you'll find them at the bay, laughing and talking all about yesterday. And I wanna love like that. I wanna love like that. So don't ever tell me that long love just cannot be found. 'Cause when you look for it, you'll find that it's all around. Just look at them gazing as he touches her head. She smiles and tells him that she's so glad that she's there. And I wanna love like that. I wanna love like that. So don't ever tell me that long love just cannot be found. 'Cause when you look for it, you'll find that it's all around. side.